the Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just power from the consent of the governed. This is the America News Network. Whether you're in automotive, sporting goods, hardware, health, wellness, electrical, electronics, construction, carpet cleaning, legal, or animal care, and offer exceptional customer service and provide quality services or goods, you're honest, reliable, and professional. If you have a business, we have the customers. Let us put you in touch with our loyal, supportive, and dedicated listeners today. They're waiting to hear from you. It's inexpensive. It's effective. Call KHNC at 1-800-205-6245. The Beth Messiah Congregation invites you to come and experience a Messianic Roots biblically based congregational fellowship as we observe God's Shabbat in Messiah Yeshua. Praise and worship services begin at 10:30 a.m., followed by an Oneg Shabbat meal, mid-Rosh, and fellowship. Beth Messiah Congregation is located at 8333 Acoma Way in North Denver. You can find out more information by calling 1-800-205-6245. Everyone's welcome, so join us this Shabbat. And Shabbat Shalom, good Sabbath.
Congressman Ron Paul is wrong about war with Syria, and the editors at Activist Post are wrong about H.R. 4133. Fiscal conservatives have been raped by the Republican Party. Philadelphia is writing tickets for dogs and cats that don't use their seat belts. The UN wants complete control over the Internet, which will mean unprecedented censorship, taxes, and surveillance. And someone checked the Weather Channel because hell must just have frozen over. Muhammad Ali's grandson has just been bar mitzvahed. My name is Howard Riell, and this is Real Truth. You're listening to the American Freedom Network, streaming live around the world at AmericanNewsNet.com and on Facebook and on YouTube and in the book Real Truth, Stay Angry. And, of course, as always, broadcasting out across the Colorado Front Range on KHNC, Johnstown, Colorado, 1360 AM, The Lion. Our call-in number, 877-254-7524. My friends, welcome back to a brand spanking new week of Real Truth. Item from Thomas Hauser. In the 1960s, Muhammad Ali stood as an exemplar of black pride and beacon of hope for oppressed people around the world. In recent years, he's been a symbol of tolerance and understanding. Ali taught his children to rid their hearts of prejudice. The lessons took hold. One of his grandchildren, Jacob Wertheimer, has recently been bar mitzvahed. Coming-of-age rituals are an important part of every religion under Jewish law, and a boy reaches the age of 13, he accepts full responsibility for his actions and becomes a man. The ceremony commemorating this occasion is known as a bar mitzvah. Jacob, the son of Kalia Ali Wertheimer and her husband Spencer, turned 13 on January 21st of this year. The bar mitzvah took place on April 28th at Congregation Rodef Shalom in Philadelphia. 150 people were in attendance. Jacob's grandfather was among them. I was born and raised as a Muslim, Kalia says, but I'm not into organized religion. I'm more spiritual than religious. My husband is Jewish. No one put any pressure on Jacob to believe one way or another. He chose this on his own because he felt a kinship with Judaism and Jewish culture. The ceremony was wonderful and very touching, Kalia continues. The theme of Jacob's presentation was inclusiveness and a celebration of diversity. My father was supportive in every way. He followed everything and looked at the Torah very closely. It meant a lot to Jacob that he was there. Kalia says proudly that Jacob is an A student and a good athlete with Ivy League aspirations. She also notes that the bar mitzvah of Muhammad Ali's grandson is, quote, a wonderful tale of what's coming in the world, unquote. Ali, one assumes, would agree. Shortly before lighting the Olympic flame in 1996 in Atlanta, he proclaimed, quote, my mother was a Baptist. She believed Jesus was the Son of God, and I don't believe that. But even though my mother had a religion different from me, I believe that on Judgment Day my mother will be in heaven. There are Jewish people who lead good lives. When they die, I believe they are going to heaven. It doesn't matter what religion you are. If you're a good person, you'll receive God's blessing. Muslims, Christians, and Jews all serve the same God. We just serve him in different ways. Anyone who believes in God should also believe that all people are part of one family. God created us all, and all people have to work to get along, unquote. My friends, that sounds so wonderful and so beautiful and makes me feel so good. I only wish that it were true. First of all, if you're an old geezer like me and you were alive in the 1960s, you remember Muhammad Ali, who was newly christened, if you will, as a Muslim, close to the Nation of Islam, to its leader, Herbert Muhammad, the Honorable Prophet Elijah Muhammad, saying repeatedly to anyone who would stick a microphone in front of his face, all white people are devils. That is the mantra of the Nation of Islam, and that was Ali's mantra. If he ever retracted that statement, it must have escaped my notice, number one. Number two, when Ali says that we all worship the same God, just in different ways, I'm not buying that for a minute. I'm a Jew, and my God does not tell us to hack people's hands off, to cover women head to toe, doesn't tell us that we can have temporary wives, doesn't tell us that we can lie if it will benefit us against an adversary, doesn't tell us we have to conquer the world, doesn't tell us to put out people's eyes. This is a very, very different God. Now, if you want to get into the minutia of it, okay, we will. Rodef Shalom, and I used to live in Philadelphia. Rodef Shalom is a Reform synagogue. Reform is just about nothing when it comes to religious observance, okay? If Kalia Ali Wertheimer points out that her husband is Jewish, it means that she is not, which means her son Jacob is not Jewish according to Jewish law. I am delighted that he enjoys Judaism. I hope he will study and one day convert to Judaism, but right now he's not Jewish. His father, Mr. Wertheimer, married someone who's not Jewish, so he's not keeping anything of the religion. On top of it, he married a Muslim, and Muslims generally, across the globe, either don't like or worse, want to kill Jews. So I'm wondering what the hell is happening in that family. Now, if you're saying to me, Riell, you're being too harsh, just go with the flow, man, it's a happy occasion, fine. Fine. If you want to talk about all men being brothers, fine. If you want to talk about universal love, peace, and harmony, fine. I am with you. But even when we go tripping down that happy road, let's go with our eyes open. Okay? Let's go with our eyes open and know exactly who's saying what it means and why. That's all I'm saying. If Muhammad Ali got himself into a synagogue and was reading the Torah and had good things to say about Jews, I am delighted. Maybe he's learned something over all these years. You can still go to the website of the Nation of Islam, watch them on YouTube. They are still filled with venom, racism, anti-Semitism, and hate. I would love to hear Muhammad Ali or someone close to him repudiate them. I don't think I ever will. In the meantime, a bar mitzvah, very nice, very happy, very this, very that, blah, 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 blah. We still have people in this world, my friends, who want to kill you and me and our families. And let's not be lulled into this nonsense that all religions are the same. They are not. When it comes to Islam, they say themselves they're bent on global conquering, and we have to proceed from that place. By the way, this is Real Truth. It's a brand new week. We're going to kick some butt today. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Now this is the testimony of John when the Jews sent priests and Levites from Jerusalem to ask him, "Who are you?" He confessed and did not deny, but confessed, "I am not the Messiah." And they asked him, "What then? Are you Elijah?" He said, "I am not." "Are you the prophet?" And he answered, "No." The Gospel of John, chapter 1, verse 19 through 21.
We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, to ordain and establish this Constitution.
Restore Health and Counseling salutes the men and women in uniform who've answered the call for our freedoms. Let's give them the hero's welcome they deserve, as they have fought hard to restore peace. America's troops are our angels of protection, so stand up and salute them proudly. That's from Restore Health and Counseling at 4705 Paris Street, serving Northeast Denver with complete substance abuse counseling for adolescents to adult and for private as well as professional drug, alcohol screening and treatment and rehabilitation. Visit us at www.rhctherapy.com or call 303-373-1188.
Whether you're in automotive, sporting goods, hardware, health, wellness, electrical, electronics, construction, carpet cleaning, legal, or animal care, and offer exceptional customer service and provide quality services or goods, you're honest, reliable, and professional. If you have a business, we have the customers. Let us put you in touch with our loyal, supportive, and dedicated listeners today. They're waiting to hear from you. It's inexpensive. It's effective. Call KHNC at 1-800-205-6245.
And we are back. We're going to start with a video. This is from PrisonPlanet.com. Alex Jones interviewing Jim Tucker, who has been covering the Bilderberg conferences for years and years and years. There's one going on now. Apparently, they are not Ron Paul supporters. Let's listen.
Jim Tucker, your source gave you some amazing information concerning Ron Paul and his supporters directly from the Bilderberg group in the lobby shooting their mouths off. What did they say?
They said some very harsh things, obviously, about Ron Paul because he's our leading patriot in Congress who stopped the Law of the Sea Treaty ratification, which is dear to their bloody hearts. So, the harshest comment made was by a guy who said he'd like to get Ron Paul and all of his supporters on one airplane with a Muslim suicide pilot and take them down. That was the harshest comment made, but there were a lot of mean-spirited comments made as the Bilderberg boys gathered in the lobby of the hotel.
So they're very upset about just the liberty movement in general.
Yes, they are. They're outraged, they're angry, and they're very depressed about the whole liberty. They're very upset with all these patriotic Americans resisting their program, and the fact that Americans are so successful at it because the program planned by Bilderberg has been set back for years, and every year it gets worse, and every year they get more depressed, every year they get more outraged. So we're winning, they're losing.
AmericanFreePress.net, you got big reports coming out there. Jim, we're going to debrief each other tonight. Sorry I didn't get over here last night. There were arrests and stuff.
So you've heard that the people in the Bilderberg group, the ultra-rich, ultra-powerful, ultra-connected, ultra-greedy elite of the world, they don't like Ron Paul. Because Ron Paul is not owned by them. Ron Paul is a patriot. You heard Jim Tucker say it, and he's correct. And anyone who's standing up for America and for Americans, the elite don't like. Well, I do my best Monday through Thursday, week in, week out. This August, it'll be 4 years to stand up for America and for Americans and for our freedom and liberty and the rights of the average citizen. And if there are emissaries of the Bilderberg elitists who listen to my show and they have similar feelings about me as they do for Ron Paul, my message of brotherhood and peace is this. Folks, you can kiss my ass. Item from Congressman Ron Paul. War drums are beating again in Washington. This time Syria is in the crosshairs after a massacre there last week left more than 100 dead. As might be expected from an administration with an announced policy of regime change in Syria, the reaction was to blame only the Syrian government for the tragedy, expel Syrian diplomats from Washington, and announce that the U.S. may attack Syria even without UN approval. Of course, the idea that the administration would follow the Constitution and seek a declaration of war from Congress is considered even more anachronistic now than under the previous administration. It may be the case that the Syrian military was responsible for the events last week, but recent bombings and attacks have been carried out by armed rebels with reported al-Qaeda ties. With the stakes so high, it would make sense to wait for a full investigation, unless the truth is less important than stirring up emotions in favor of a U.S. attack, unquote. My friends, I will disagree strongly with Congressman Paul, and I disagree strongly but with respect. Syria is an Arab nation, Muslim nation. I've said on this show many times that the greatest threat to world peace, the greatest threat to a apocalyptic end-of-world scenario is for jihadi nations to get their hands on weapons of mass destruction. I was just going back and forth with some Yahoo on Facebook about this, who feels that Iran should not be looked at as bad guys. Ron Paul doesn't want to go to war with Syria. Ron Paul is basically an isolationist. He wants America to mind its own business, which is fine in a lot of cases. But in the 21st century, it's not fine. Not with weapons of mass destruction out there. Not with Iran developing nuclear weapons and giving its technology and expertise to God knows who. We have over 1.5 billion Muslims in the world, and their holy book says, conquer the world in the name of Allah, and do it by any means necessary. And so no, Congressman Paul, this is not the time for America to stick its head in the sand. It is the time for America and the entire free world to see to it that jihad does not go nuclear, does not go biological. How do we do that? I've already told you. If you're listening to the show any length of time, you've heard me say it. We need to disarm the Muslim nations of the world. What if they don't like it? Well, I guarantee they won't like it. And we bitch slap them until they do like it. We disarm them and we monitor them closely. And we say to them that if you ever attempt to even begin to develop weapons of mass destruction, you will bring extinction upon yourself. As proof, we have to point to Iran, and Iran by then, of course, would be obliterated. But we've got a major chunk of the world's population, a major number of countries, all bent on conquering the West, destroying the West, incinerating Israel, God forbid, and if they can, incinerating America and a lot of Europe also. We can't permit it. And so, no, I will disagree with Congressman Paul about Syria. Syria, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Yemen, Libya, Iraq, Afghanistan, Iran, they must be conquered, and they must be disarmed, and they must be monitored. Because if they're not, then we truly face an end-of-the-world scenario. Item from Suzanne Posel, writing at Activist Post. She writes the following, quote, without any mainstream media coverage at all, the House of Representatives passed the United States-Israel Enhanced Security Cooperation Act of 2012. The USIESC, written by Eric Cantor, claims there's a need to provide Israel with unlimited military and financial aid as a result of the disturbances caused by the Arab Spring. Stop. Wrong. There is a need to provide Israel with unlimited military and financial aid, but it has nothing to do with the Arab Spring. The Arab world has been poised to pounce on and destroy Israel for decades and decades. God knows they've tried often enough, and they failed because there's a God. Israel, and by the way, the West, doesn't need protection from Arab countries because of the Arab Spring. The Arab Spring was propaganda. It was garbage. It was people without power struggling to gain power. That's all it was. Let me continue. Israel will have an essentially unlimited amount of funds allocated to them through the Federal Reserve Bank. The country will also enjoy an expanded role of NATO that consists of an enhanced presence at NATO headquarters and exercises. The U.S. IESC pledges the U.S. government's commitment to assist Israel in remaining a Jewish state, as well as protection from the UN if the UN Security Council resolves to hold Israel accountable to international laws. The U.S. government's counterterrorism unit will also aid Israel by any means. The U.S. IESC asserts that, supported by the American people, the U.S. government will, quote, repeatedly affirm the special bond between the United States and Israel, unquote, and that the two countries have shared values and shared interests, unquote. My friends, this is good news. Finally. How long have you been listening to the show and you haven't heard anything that resembled good news? This is good news. If this can be believed, and if America will be as good as its word in this document, then it means America is saying Israel is our friend first and foremost, and we will stand by her thick and thin. Now, it is an election year, and this may be posturing by Barack Obama to try and get the Jewish vote. Who the hell knows? You're dealing with politicians who lie fluently. They lie more fluently than I speak English. So is this for real? I hope so. I hope so. Because you know as well as I do, and it says at least a couple of times in Genesis, that those who bless the Jewish people will be blessed. And those who curse them will be cursed. Under Barack Obama, more than under previous administrations, America has been cursing the Jewish people. I hope, and more than that, I pray that this signals a very real and legitimate sea change, because we need it. Item from CBS Philadelphia. Click it or ticket. It's not just for people anymore, at least in Pennsylvania. Police and animal control officers are authorized to cite drivers with unrestrained animals in the car. Yes, that includes the back of a pickup truck, too. Violators can be fined $250 to $1,000 per offense. Stop. My friends, if we're going to talk about unrestrained animals, we need to start with politicians and law enforcement agencies. Those are the real unrestrained animals these days. That said, is it a good idea to put seatbelts on your pets? Yes, it is. A lot of things are good ideas, and they don't require the government breathing down our necks. Is the government there in Pennsylvania, is the legislators of Philadelphia, are they concerned about the safety of your dogs and cats? No. No. They couldn't care less. Why pass the law? Well, you know the answer already, my friends. You're a sharp group of people. This is a chance for them to hand out tickets to the tune of $250 to $1,000 per offense. In case you hadn't noticed, the economy stinks. Cities, states are broke. They need revenue. And so suddenly they care about your pets, where, by the way, they never cared this much before. Item from the Post and Courier in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina. Shem Creek and Charleston Harbor are filled with boats flying Israeli and American flags on Sunday as hundreds proclaim support for Israel in Charleston's first Friendship Flotilla. More than 300 people boarded 4 tour boats and 28 private vessels, according to volunteers counting the people, for a nautical procession from Shem Creek to the Battery and back. The lead vessels of the Friendship Flotilla, flying Israeli and American flags, leave Shem Creek headed towards Charleston. Bill Johnson of Darlington stands with a group holding Israeli and American flags at Shem Creek. Okay. I believe it's just the beginning, a groundbreaking for an annual event, said Melissa Fort of Mount Pleasant, South Carolina, coordinator for Israel Always. She's an evangelical Christian who believes the Bible teaches that Christians should support Israel. She works closely with Earl Cox of Mount Pleasant, a Christian radio host who spends much of his time in Jerusalem, often in consultation with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Those who went out on the water included Cox and State Representative Alan Clemens of Myrtle Beach, a Republican who last summer got the House to pass a resolution affirming that Israel holds its homeland by divine right and Israel's enemies are America's enemies, unquote. My friends, I almost don't recognize this show today. I've had 2 good news items, and the show's not even halfway over. This outpouring of love and support for Israel is a pleasure. It is a pleasure. It's a blessing. It's a mitzvah. Anytime you're doing what God wants you to do, it's a mitzvah. And I doff my cap, and then I put it right back on, of course, to all those nice folks who took out onto the water in support of Israel. It is very much appreciated. Item from theblaze.com. Back to Philadelphia. Philadelphia's new law banning all outdoor feedings of large numbers of people on city parkland goes into effect Friday, according to CBS Philly. And some charitable groups have elected to ignore it. I encourage every church, every organization, every individual that has been serving on the Parkway to continue serving on the Parkway, despite this law that's going into effect, said Altressa Boatwright, operations manager for Chosen 300, a charitable organization that has proudly served Philadelphia's homeless community for years with, quote, outdoor feedings. But why would the city pass a ban on charitable giving? According to proponents of the bill, including Philadelphia Mayor Michael Nutter, the new law will protect the dignity of the homeless, cleanliness of the parks, and eliminate food health concerns, unquote. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, Mr. Mayor. How about giving a hungry man some food? Does that make any sense? Revolt. My friends, we'll be right back.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Tom Phillips, founder of the Green Herb.
Is it me, or have you noticed that personal service is becoming a thing of the past? Is a big store with untrained personnel, or going to a vitamin store and finding several brands of the same herbal product, all at different prices? You don't need to be an herbal expert at the Green Herb. We'll gladly help you decide which of the Green Herb's exclusive products will work for you and work better than anything you buy elsewhere. And we'll give you an old-fashioned money-back guarantee. Come by the Green Herb, located in Wheat Ridge, Colorado, on the I-70 frontage road north, 1 mile west of Kipling, or call 888-765-HERB. That's 888-765-4372. Or go to our website at www.thegreenherb.com. It's the Green Herb's policy to give you small-town service in the big city. And be sure to listen to the Green Herb Show with Linda and Dr. Cass every Tuesday at 1 o'clock on KHNC.
And of his fullness we have all received, and grace for grace. For the law was given through Moses, but grace and truth came through Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus the Christ. No one has seen God at any time. The only begotten Son, who is in the bosom of the Father, He has declared Him. The Gospel of John, chapter 1, verse 16.
No state shall enter into any treaty, alliance, or confederation, grant letters of marque or reprisal, coin money, emit bills of credit, make anything but gold and silver coin a tender in payment of debts, pass any bill of attainder, ex post facto law, or law impairing the obligation of contracts, or grant any title of nobility. Article 1, Section 10.
The Beth Messiah congregation invites you to come and experience a Messianic Roots biblically based congregational fellowship as we observe God's Shabbat in Messiah Yeshua. Praise and worship services begin at 10:30 a.m., followed by an Oneg Shabbat meal, mid-Rosh, and fellowship. Beth Messiah congregation is located at 8333 Acoma Way in North Denver. You can find out more information by calling 1-800-205-6245. Everyone's welcome, so join us this Shabbat. And Shabbat Shalom, good Sabbath. CINN Stations in Alt salutes our troops. Whether you're for the war or against it, they're still there. These men and women deserve more than our support. They deserve the comfort of home. Send a military care package today. Just type military care package into a search engine. Point and click. Let's show our troops we care. This message from CINN Stations in Alt, wishing Godspeed to our fighting men and women and thanking them for their triumphs and their sacrifices.
Friends, welcome back to Real Truth. The video that you will find linked on my Facebook page, Real Truth Radio, has a headline that says, Federal law proves all delegates are unbound. All delegates must see this. Well, all delegates must, I'm sure, see this, and all of us need to listen to it. It's only 5 minutes long. This comes from fightforfreedom.net. Let's listen.
Hey, welcome back, everyone. I am Matt Larson 10, and I have some information the mainstream media and Mitt Romney supporters do not want any of us to know. There are two statutes that Ron Paul supporters need to know about. The first one is 11 CFR 100.2 subsection E. That is defining a national convention as a federal election for the purpose of electing a candidate for federal office. It states, Section E, caucus or convention. A caucus or convention of a political party is an election if the caucus or convention has the authority to select a nominee for federal office on behalf of that party. So, what that means is that caucuses or conventions have to follow federal laws. And yes, they can have their own bylaws and state laws, but federal law trumps all of those other laws, bylaws, rules, party rules, whatever you want to call it. The federal law trumps. And here's what you need to know. 42 of USC 1971, Section 1971, voting rights. It says, no person, whether acting under color of law or otherwise, shall intimidate, threaten, coerce, or attempt to intimidate, threaten, or coerce any other person for the purpose of interfering with the right of such other person to vote or to vote as he may choose, or of causing such other person to vote for or not to vote for any candidate for the office of president. Now, the Republican Party is a private party. An illegal voter delegate is also considered a private party. These private parties are separately governed by numerous federal and state laws. The Republican Convention, however, is a federal election made up of multiple private parties which serves to nominate a candidate for the office of the presidency. The Republican National Convention itself is a federal election bound by federal laws. These two federal laws alone should prove that no state or private party can rule on anybody trying to vote their conscience. Anyone can vote their own free will, period. You cannot be bound by any state law or party law or anything like that. If you are a delegate, you are a delegate. You are a free agent. You can go and vote however you want, period. End of story. I don't care what other people say. The courts are even backing us up on this. I have numerous cases that I'm going to be posting down in the description proving that the courts are on our side on this even. There's a link that talks about how the definition of election, and it goes on even more if you guys want to read up on that. That's one of the links down there. I have a Library of Congress article down there too. You can click on there. And it's got everything that you're going to need. It's got Cornell University Law School legal information. It's got the Morse versus Republican Party of Virginia. This is from 1996. I mean, we have plenty of things that are backing us up. And then there's an in-depth analysis of delegate binding for Ron Paul delegates to the 2012 National Convention. This is even better. This is from May 15th, 2012, and it's got all, just read through the table of contents, and if you have any questions, all you have to do is go to that page and you can read it even for yourself. So this is what we've all been looking for. We've all been looking for some type of way to get out of being bound to vote for Mitt Romney or Rick Santorum or any of these other guys that are in the race, not still in the race, but still have delegates that are bound, quote-unquote, bound in the first or second or third rounds of balloting. This unbounds all of them. They are free to vote their conscience, and this is the proof. We need to spread this to every single one of our delegates. They need to know they are a free agent. No matter what the media says, we have the courts on our side, and we will win. So that's all I got for now. Make sure you guys thumbs up this video, share it with friends and family. If you're new to my videos, click that subscribe button to stay up to date on all the current Ron Paul news. As always, I'm Matt Larson 10. Go Ron Paul. Peace.
Well, there you have it. It's an important thing for delegates to know, for us to know. The race for the Republican nomination is not finished, no matter what the media wants us to think. Item from John Whitehead at the Rutherford Institute. The headline, whatever happened to justice? Supreme Court okays police tasering pregnant women. You heard me right, my friends. I quote, once again, the United States Supreme Court has proven Clarence Darrow, a civil liberties attorney and longtime advocate for the Constitution, correct in his assertion that, quote, there is no such thing as justice in or out of court, unquote. In meting out this particular miscarriage of justice, the Supreme Court recently refused to hear the case of a pregnant woman who was repeatedly tasered by Seattle police during a routine traffic stop simply because she refused to sign a speeding ticket. Malika Brooks, 33 years old and 7 months pregnant, was driving her 11-year-old son to school on a November morning in 2004 when she was pulled over for driving 32 miles an hour in a 20-mile-per-hour school zone. Instructing her son to walk the rest of the way to school, Malika handed over her driver's license to Officer Juan Ornelas for processing. However, when instructed to sign the speeding ticket, which the state inexplicably requires, Malika declared she wished to contest the charge, insisting that she had not done anything wrong and fearing that signing the ticket would signify an admission of guilt. What happened next is a cautionary tale for anyone who still thinks they can defy a police officer, even if it's simply to disagree about a speeding ticket. Rather than issuing a verbal warning to the clearly pregnant and understandably emotional woman, Officer Ornelas called for backup. Officer Donald Jones subsequently arrived and told Brooks to sign the ticket. Again, she refused. The conversation became heated. The cops called in more backup. The next to arrive was Sergeant Stephen Damon, who directed Brooks to sign the ticket, pointing out that she refused to do so, she would be arrested and taken to jail. Again, Malika refused. On orders from Sergeant Damon, Ornelas ordered the distraught Brooks to get out of the car, telling her she was, quote, going to jail. Malika refused, and the second cop, Jones, responded by pulling out his taser electroshock weapon, asking her if she knew what it was and warning her it would be used on her if she continued to resist. Brooks told him no and then said, I have to go to the bathroom, I'm pregnant, I'm less than 60 days from having my baby. Jones and Ornelas then proceeded to discuss how best to taser the pregnant woman and forcibly remove her from the car. One officer said, well, don't do it in her stomach, do it in her thigh. Opening the car door, Ornella twisted Malika's arm behind her back. Desperate, Brooks held on tightly to the steering wheel while Jones cycled the taser as a demonstration of its capacity to cause pain. With the taser in a drive stun mode, Officer Jones then pressed the taser against Brooks' thigh. My friends, you know how this story ends. I needn't finish it. You'll find it on my Facebook page. It's more cops acting like pigs. And that's the only phrase I can think of to describe these guys. We'll be back.
Herb's Meats and Specialty Foods sells hard-to-find clean meats for your family's table. Cured beef bacon, veal, turkey, and summer sausage, all pork-free. Also all available in collagen casings. That's right, collagen casings and pasture-raised, healthy, no hormones, no antibiotics beef at Herb's Meats and Specialty Foods in Broomfield. Call 303-499-8166 or stop by 1000 Depot Hill Road at the intersection of Highway 287 and 10th Avenue in Broomfield. Ask about shipping.
An emergency preparedness plan for your home, car, school, and office is a must. Knowing how to store water safely, survive extreme temperature changes, provide reliable shelter, first aid, and sanitation is critical. Knowing where to get the best lights, radios, and other supplies is easy. Ferris Survival, located at 3366 South Broadway, is a professional, reputable, full-service business providing realistic preparedness supplies at affordable prices. Stop by, go online, or call 303-781-0343, 866-781-0343. If you're spending hard-earned money on supplements, you need to know about BioSuperfood because you're probably shortchanging yourself on nutrition and value. If you're buying products claiming to provide DNA protection from radiation, you're getting ripped off by inferior copycat products because there's no other product developed or researched like BioSuperfood. BioSuperfood is one complete superfood product that addresses radiation poisoning, allergies, arthritis, diabetes, high blood pressure, and other degenerative diseases. BioSuperfood helps digestion, decreases pain and inflammation, increases flexibility, improves heart health and brain function. It boosts your immune system and even inhibits the AIDS virus and cancerous cells. It's an antibacterial, antifungal, and anti-inflammatory. BioSuperfood is not another supplement. It's a whole food and contains over 5,000 nutrients. Call now and ask about your special discounts on your BioSuperfood purchase at 303-257-7576. That's 303-257-7576 or biosuperfood@hotmail.com.
Glad that we have police officers protecting us from pregnant women with their tasers at the ready. Oh. Item from Russ Baker writing at Salon. I quote, "Next year will be a half-century since the death of JFK, and the Obama administration thinks we need to keep secret the records on the matter a little bit longer yet. Believe it or not, more than 50,000 pages of JFK assassination-related documents are being withheld in full, and an untold number of documents have been partially withheld or released with everything interesting blacked out. But why? Since the government and the big media keep telling us there was no conspiracy and that it was all Lee Harvey Oswald acting on his own, why continue to keep the raps on?" Unquote. That's a very good question. I got an even better question. For all the simpletons out there who voted for Barack Obama, Barry Hussein, whatever, you know who I mean. You voted for him because he said change. And a shiver went up and down your spine. Ooh, change! Well, we've got change. Change for the worse. We've got tragedy. And I don't mean only economic. Here's my question for you, my simple friends. When Barack Obama was promising a more open government, a more transparent government, of course you believed him because he's the Messiah. How are you not going to believe him? Well, now the government is less transparent than ever, more secrecy than ever. Only under Barack Obama do we have Nancy Pelosi saying, "Vote for the bill, and then we'll tell you what's in it." More secrecy than ever. And so why won't Barack Obama, Mr. Transparency, release the files on JFK? Yeah, I'm waiting for some kind of an intelligent answer. I know you're Obama voters, but you should be able at least to grunt or wheeze. Make a noise. The takeaway here is that you were lied to. People of high intelligence realized it before the last election. You didn't. Well, then realize it now. In promising everything that he promised, from closing Guantanamo Bay to cutting the deficit to increasing employment, he lied and he lied and he lied. If there's anything that ought to be a no-brainer for Obama, because he was just a little kid when this happened, he should release the records on the JFK assassination. And if he won't, is this a guy that you want to vote for again? I certainly hope the answer is no, my friends. Not just for America's sake, for your sake. Item from the end of the American dream. I quote, "What the Republican Party has done to fiscal conservatives over the past year and a half has been a betrayal so vast that it's difficult to find words to describe it. Back in 2010, the Tea Party was riding high on a flood of new Republicans, was sent to the U.S. House of Representatives, one of the greatest landslides in U.S. political history. On election night 2010, more House seats changed hands than in any other election since 1948. It was the greatest defeat for any sitting president in the midterm election since 1938. After the election, the Democrats were left with fewer House seats than at any other time since 1946. Needless to say, it was an absolutely historic election. The Tea Party completely dominated American politics that night, and they sent the Republican Party a clear message that they wanted government debt to be brought under control. So what's changed since then? Not much. The U.S. government is still running trillion-dollar deficits every single year. I have previously spent a lot of time blaming Barack Obama and the Democrats for this, but the truth is that they could not have spent a single penny without the approval of the U.S. House of Representatives. So the Republican Party is complicit in this crime against the American people. If there was ever a mandate to take a stand against runaway government debt, it was after the 2010 election, and the Republican Party has failed miserably. So what are fiscal conservatives supposed to do now? As CNS News recently pointed out, the U.S. national debt has increased by approximately $1.6 trillion over the last 15 months. This Congress has added more to the national debt than the first 97 Congresses combined. When Boehner became a speaker on January 5, 2011, the federal government was operating under continuing resolution that had been passed on December 21, 2010 by a lame duck Congress. That continuing resolution expired on March 4, 2011. On March 1st, Boehner agreed to a new short-term I'm not going to go through the rest of this, my friends. You get the idea. The Republicans wanted you to vote for them because look at what those Democrats are doing. So the Republicans got in office, and they're doing the exact same thing. Is it enough to make you lose your faith in the American political system? My friends, why the hell do you have any faith to begin with in the American political system? Best system ever devised, and it worked for a long time. Doesn't work anymore. We have to overhaul it. Item from CNSNews.com. The Republican-controlled House of Representatives, which took office in January 2011, has enacted federal spending bills under which the national debt has increased more in less than one term of Congress than in the first 97 Congresses combined. In the 15 months that the Republican-controlled House of Representatives, led by Speaker John Boehner, has effectively enjoyed a constitutional veto over federal spending, the federal government's debt has increased by about $1.59 trillion, unquote. Item from USAToday.com. States are looking for new ways of taxing motorists as they seek to pay for highway and bridge repair and improvements without relying on the per-gallon gasoline tax, widely viewed as all but obsolete. Among the leading ideas, taxing drivers for how many miles they travel rather than how much gasoline they buy. Minnesota and Oregon already are testing technology to keep track of mileage. Other states, including Washington and Nevada, are preparing similar projects. The efforts are being prompted by the fact that gasoline taxes no longer provide enough money to pay for roads and bridges, especially when Congress and many state legislatures are reluctant to increase taxes imposed on each gallon. Stop. To all the legislators in all the states in America and to the whores and thieves in D.C., cut spending. I'm sorry, I didn't say it loudly enough. I'll say it again. Cut spending. Idiots. Just that simple. We'll be back.
Why do the nations rage, and the people plot a vain thing? The kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord and against his anointed, saying, let us break their bonds in pieces, and cast away their cords from us. Psalm 1, verses 1 through 3.
Holy is the Lord.
Article 4. The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrant shall be issued but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the places to be searched and the persons or things
to be seized. Whether you're in automotive, sporting goods, hardware, health, wellness, electrical, electronics, construction, carpet cleaning, legal, or animal care, and offer exceptional customer service and provide quality services or goods, you're honest, reliable, and professional. If you have a business, we have the customers. Let us put you in touch with our loyal, supportive, and dedicated listeners today. They're waiting to hear from you. It's inexpensive. It's effective. Call KHNC at 1-800-205-6245.
Restore Health and Counseling salutes the men and women in uniform who've answered the call for our freedoms. Let's give them the hero's welcome they deserve as they have fought hard to restore peace. America's troops are our angels of protection, so stand up and salute them proudly. That's from Restore Health and Counseling at 4705 Paris Street, serving Northeast Denver with complete substance abuse counseling for adolescents to adult and for private as well as professional drug, alcohol screening and treatment and rehabilitation. Visit us at www.rhctherapy.com or call 303-373-1188.
Folks, we're almost at the end of another hour. Let me squeeze in as much as I can. This comes from columnist Carolyn Glick at the Jerusalem Post. I quote, Defense Minister Ehud Barak has done it again. Speaking on Wednesday at the Institute for National Security Studies in Tel Aviv, Barak warned that if Israel can't cut a deal with the Palestinians soon, it should consider surrendering Judea and Samaria in exchange for nothing, unquote. My friends, I would love to tell you that Ehud Barak is an idiot. And he is an idiot. But it goes further than that. This guy is the defense minister, former prime minister. He's still pushing for a peace deal, oblivious, deaf, dumb, and blind to the fact that there can be no peace. He wants to give up land so much you'd think he was a real estate agent. He wants to surrender Judea and Samaria in exchange for nothing. Well, at least there's a long-standing precedent for that, because everything Israel has given up has been for nothing. If all Ehud Barak was an idiot, I would consign him to the attic and let him sit there for the rest of his life. He's a very dangerous man. Very dangerous man. And I'm here to tell you, at some point in the future, and I don't mean to wax prophetic, at some point in the future, there will be trials in Israel for treason. And we'll hear the name Ehud Barak again. Item from the American Free Press, Dateline, Chantilly, Virginia. The Washington Post, whose top managers have long attended the hyper-exclusive Bilderberg conferences each year and were thanked by Bilderberg leaders for never reporting on the conference, broke decades of silence and gave a respectable report on Bilderberg 2012 on the front of its Metro section, June 2nd. Henry Kissinger and Bill Gates were chauffeured in, the story in the Post noted, adding outside the security barriers, dozens of protesters and conspiracy theorists convinced that Bilderberg is a global cabal of about 120 key members that runs the world, waved signs and shouted into bullhorns. And while the approximately 626-word Post story downplayed Bilderberg's power and influence, the clunky article revealed that Washington lobbyist Vin Weber, who's been a presenter at Bilderberg twice, is an advisor to GOP presidential nominee Mitt Romney. The Post article also acknowledged that Donald E. Graham, the Washington Post company's board chairman and chief executive, is on the invitation list for Bilderberg 2012. But the fact is that Graham has attended for many years, yet until now there's been no known Post coverage of Bilderberg gatherings, unquote. My friends, let me read to you from the Washington Post again. Protesters and conspiracy theorists. So the Post is calling us the dumb, unwashed masses who don't know any better, don't know anything, who are shouting and screaming and walking around just like we got nothing to do, because after all, if we had jobs, we would. My friends, the Washington Post is the lackey, is the puppet, is the mouthpiece for the elitists. They are scared stiff because people's eyes are opening. People are getting information. We're getting pissed. We're running out of money. We're running out of patience. We're running out of jobs. We're running out of freedom. We're running out of privacy. In short, we're running out of America. And it's the people who attend the Bilderberg Conference and other groups like the CFR, like the Trilateral Commission, the self-styled elites who are putting us where we are and lining their own pockets in so doing. My friends, now perhaps you understand why I come on this show week after week, month after month, and I tell you not only to stay safe and to stay healthy, but to make damn sure you stay angry. I'll be back tomorrow with more Real Truth. I'll see you then.
He was in the world, and the world was made through him, and the world did not know him. He came to his own, and his own did not receive him. But as